Guys and dolls, Freedom Dad here, and it's Saturday morning and it's a beautiful morning. Bit cloudy, overcast, guys, but absolutely amazing day. Cold, very cold, very cold. And just out with Tulip and Boy. Just a wee slow walk as Boy, you know, he's just a wee old boy, so Tulip's got to take her time. She'll just run about mad as usual. You know our Tulip. Hey Tulip, you're just mental, aren't you? So, sorry about that, guys. Nearly lost the phone. I was walking that way and I seen the farmer coming up another wee bit of a track, and you know, no problems, you know what I mean. Dogs don't bother anybody. If I see any animals, I put them on the lead and all that, you know. But as I got to the edge, I just seen a herd of bulls coming, and I had to spin around and do a wee runner. And yeah, because the young bulls are they're just frisky, and she'll go mental, you know what I mean. She thinks whatever she looks at, she thinks she's that animal. That's what I honestly believe, you know what I mean. And yeah, but like I said, it was yesterday. Just quickly, anybody's jumped on because of the title, because I'm going to be talking about racism, and this is to my followers, you know, that who just I talk about my life too. You know, some people just jump on, watch one video, and they never see me again. You know what I mean? So, my videos are for my followers. You know what I mean? And it's no offense, guys, but you know what I mean. It's just the way it is. And so yesterday, guys, I done a video as I was going down to sort my bank out and everything, and so I was maybe done a wee bit too much because I walk really fast. I'm a really fast walker, and an hour there and an hour back, and yeah, got back home, goes around, sees baby, everything's good, goes around to my house, takes the boots off, giving the dogs a cuddle and that, throw some food down for them, kicks the boots off, throws the feet up, thought a wee chill, you know what I mean. And I just happened to look down to my left-hand side, and there was a letter from my psychologist. You know, I had an appointment at 2:30, like this was 1:45, you know what I mean. So boots back on, money for a taxi that I didn't have, you know what I mean, because I didn't, you know what I mean, they won't let her down, you know what I mean. It's like, I'm very good at complaining about mental health and all that, and how bad it is, and how long you got to wait and stuff, but, you know, I'm not going to take the piss if I get the opportunity to get the help, you know, if they can't help me, you know. But yeah, it was good. Yeah, I spoke about a lot of things I didn't realise I was going to speak about, and that sort of helps me a wee bit, you know, because we never know what's going on in our own heads until it's brought out, you know what I mean. You see things properly. It's difficult to explain, you know. That's another video. But guys, yeah, a bit hectic. By the time I did get home, it was late, you know. I missed the bus, and yeah, you know, it was a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. And gets home, it was about 5 o'clock, you know what I mean, and I still hadn't put the video. My battery had died as well. I never charged my phone the night before, and so I couldn't. As soon as I done the video, the battery died, you know. Got home, had the phone in charge, but by the time, like 5-10 minutes, and I was back out the door again, battery died again, phone died again. So that was yesterday's story. And but yeah, non-stop. Come on, guys. Come on, boy. Let's wait for a boy. Come on, son. You're all right. Take your time. You okay, my boy? Yeah. So, who is this? This is the problem. Everybody likes a wee morning walk. Hardly see anybody half the time, you know. I will get back to you. Nobody. Just barking at shadows, but I've got her on the lead just till I get up into this wee bit, because this is just a wee path. So it is. You do get the odd people on it. Not as many people as you should be on it, let me tell you that. There's a lot more dogs in this village that are getting walked, you know. Don't even start me on that. But yeah, anyway, guys. So basically, I'm going to have to tell you a wee bit about my life. Some of you know, I've touched on it, you know, a couple of videos, I think. So basically, a quick rundown. So anybody's new. So basically, my mum died when I was 8. I was put into care. Okay, and everything went. I'm not going to go into details. Everything went pear-shaped. Okay, I was like, no, no adults had any authority over me at all, and I was just running about wild. No two ways about it. At a very young age, and I moved to my second children's home in East Belfast, and I would have been about 10 years old, 9 going 10. I was just going into first year, so I was just leaving secondary school. I think that was one of the reasons why I was moved, because obviously they would have knew what school I was going to. So I was leaving my primary school and going to secondary school, so I was moved to a different children's home. And come on, Chip. Oh, you're caught. My fault. Oh, how have you managed this? Oh, there you go. So basically, a wee history of East Belfast. So East Belfast, where the children's home was on the Woodstock Road. And back in late 1970 and early 1980, there was gangs that would run about the streets in all different areas, and they all had different names. And the gang in the Woodstock Road was the Woodstock Tartan, the WTR, which was the logo that was sprayed everywhere. Woodstock Tartan Rule. And yes, I know it sounds childish, but believe you me, these gangs are quite violent, okay? I was part of them. Come on, this way, girl. Get her off the lead shortly, guys. So, basically, back in the day, as most of you would know, no social media, no mobile phones, some very few landlines, and people met on the street. People gathered on the street. Now, I was a very young boy, very small for my age, and I looked very, very young. Always looked younger than my years, so I have all my life. And it's been a problem, so it has, believe it or not. But not so much now, but back then it was. And come on, guys, let's go and hit the big field, guys. Might hear a buzzard or two. So the Woodstock Tartan was a gang of young men that ranged from, I was probably the youngest. I would no doubt I was the youngest, and going up to early 20s. And each area had their young men. Now, then it was skinheads, mods, and rockers. And the Woodstock Tartan were made up of skinheads and punks, right? And we used to go to clubs, most school discos and stuff like that. And there would be a lot of violence and fighting with other gangs and Catholics, because each area was a Protestant area or a Catholic area. You didn't have mixed areas then, And come on, boy. Excuse me. And so the Woodstock Tartan were skinheads, so they were. And with skinhead, you had skinhead music and all the rest of it with the Dr. Martens and all that. And I think a lot of people will connect skinheads with Dr. Martens and all the rest of it with racism. See, she just runs off. I'm sure she sees things that we don't. Come on! And so I'm going to just carry on my story. So somewhere during this time, the National Front came to Northern Ireland, and I didn't know anything about it. This is with experience now. You know what I mean? But I can remember the NF, the N with the F both connected together, and there was a period when it started getting put up everywhere, and there was other groups coming into the foray, like UB40 Specials, Madness. They were my favourite groups, and the Specials and UB40 both had black people in it, and both came from ska music / reggae, And anybody with their salts know that, if you like ska music, you like reggae music. The two go together. No two ways about it. And so I was always aware of that. I was into my bands, I like to know the names of all my bands, and I loved the bongo drums. I had a thing about drums, obviously, and I loved the bongo drums. And I'm actually a natural at it, believe it or not. I've actually played them in America in a nightclub. Swear to God, you couldn't make this up. On in the DJ box, along with dance music, playing these drums that were connected to a mic. And I just done it for a laugh, you know. But apparently it was that good, they wanted me to do it most of the night. And it was really, I enjoyed it, you know. I really enjoyed it. I just have an ear for it. And it was just a flash in the pan, a moment of madness in my life. Woke up the next day, was wondering, was it a dream, was it real, you know. And I think it was a Latino, I think a famous Latino, Ricky something, was playing a concert in the area, in Buffalo in America. And this was like an overflow of that, or the after night event. I don't know what it was, you know. Like I said, I was in my 20s, a young man. I was there for different reasons. I wasn't there to be clubbing. I wasn't meant to be clubbing. But yeah, so yeah, bongo drums, ska music, UB40 specials. So with that in mind, I've got this National Front coming up. But you got to understand, I'm 9-10 years old. I've not got a Scooby-Doo. No idea about politics. I just know Catholics are bad. You know, this stage of my life, that is the main focus in my head, and that was the main focus that people would push. That was the rhetoric in Protestant areas. Catholics are bad, and vice versa, you know. And so, cut long story short. So, has this gang, the Woodstock Tartan, we would meet up with other tartans and other gangs when we would go to the football. So, you would have Glentoran, which is an East Belfast club, and Linfield, which is a South Belfast club. I was born and bred in South Belfast, but I brought up in East Belfast. So, I've always had friends on both sides, so I've always been caught in the middle. But it's always been good because it's always good to be friends with both sides when both sides are fighting, you know. And it was always quite handy like that. And I've touched on stuff like that, being people know me. Hi, I used to help different sides communicate because I had friends on both sides. I was an intermediary sometimes, and you know, I enjoyed that. So I did. Excuse me, guys. But so we're at this National Front. They've organised a parade. Now, I don't know it's a National Front parade, you know. All I know that there's like just a sea of flags, Red Handed Ulsters, English flags, Welsh flags, Scottish flags, but mostly Red Handed Ulsters and Red Handed Ulsters, you know what I mean? Union Jacks and Red Handed Ulsters, and I mean a sea, you know. And I had one of them, and I'm marching along. I was photographed in the front of the Belfast Telegraph, and I'm not doing this because I'm worried about this photograph appearing, because nobody can identify me with it. Only I know it's me, you know. And so I can remember. This is where I'm getting to now, guys. But I'm trying to have to give you the backstory. I don't want to say I was at National Front March, you know. Because, you know, we all know where that would go, you know what I mean? So, I find myself in this march, as a Protestant, as a young loyalist, a young unionist sort of thing. Like, has my mum brought me up to be. Now, my mum's dead. I've been in children's homes for a couple of years, which means I've been running about the streets wild for a couple of years. You know, so a year, you know. It's hard to say because time's a lot longer. A year's a lot longer when you're younger. So it's really difficult. So it is, you know. I just go on where I was in school to get what age I am in life. You know, that's how I work on my stories, you know. And so we're walking along the Belfast city centre, and I can never forget it. It was just Salisbury Square, going down the woods where I'm from, the Donegal Road, coming out of the city centre. And on the right hand side, must have about, I don't know, say between 500 to 1,000 men on the street, right? At this National Front March, you know. Even if it was a National Front March, I don't even know if that it might have been some other far right march, but we'll just say National Front, right? Because they were dominantly present then, 110%. And as we're walking along the road, there's a black man walking on the pavement. And I can remember thinking to myself, oh my God, you know, because you got to understand, there was never a part of me ever racist. Like I say, I had a black doctor when my mum was alive, and it never dawned on me. It never made an impression on me. I don't know how else to explain it to you. He was just a doctor. He used to give me sweeties that I thought was tablets, and it was like a wee game that they played, and it was probably just to take my mind off and concentration off what they were talking about, because my mum had cancer and was dying. So I, I don't know what else to say. He was just my doctor, and I know quite a lot of these are exactly the same. So this is where I'm getting to about racism and the word racism. So we're walking along the street and I'm like, oh my God. Because there's chants of, I can't even say what the chants are, but they were quite brutal and bad chants, racist chants. And you got to understand as well, this is the only, when the doctor and this black guy walking along the street was probably the only two black men I'd ever seen in my life in Belfast, in Northern Ireland. And I think to myself, oh my God, this is bad. This is bad. And to let you understand, I've also been with the Woodstock Tartan when we've been going through Catholic areas, and there's been a Catholic, and I've seen men and young boys stomping over that Catholic, showing no mercy at all, hatred on another level, no two ways about it, So I know the capability of the men I'm with and the young men that I'm with, without any doubt. You got to understand where my head is at this moment. So I'm thinking, this is game over for this poor soul, And without doubt, this is what I was like. I can remember how I was feeling. And apart from a couple of chants, everybody ignored him. And obviously I was glad, and because I was a good guy, I was a good boy, you know what I mean? I just had 8 years of my mum teaching me how to be a good boy and be a good human being and be a Christian and go to church, Sunday school and the BB. So please believe me, this wasn't a progress that I grew into. This way of life landed on my lap because of the streets and how the feelings were on the streets and the way things were with bigotry and racism. And, when you got bigotry between Catholics and Protestants, it's very easy to throw anything else in there and to come in and manipulate people, because we were very vulnerable. Northern Ireland people were very vulnerable. We were going through a very difficult time. The communities had broken up. 1 minute Catholics and Protestants were living together quite harmlessly, and then the next minute families were being burnt out on both sides, And so you've got to understand what that feeling was like for communities. There was communities, people that worked together, Protestants and Catholics could no longer find themselves working together. They couldn't travel into each other areas no more. This happened overnight, guys. This was not gradual. People got to understand that. We lived in peace in the 60s and the 50s and backwards, Everything changed late 60s, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't understand that. But what I'm trying to say is that black man never got touched. And I've always thought about that all my life. And with the education that I've had in life with people, I've always found it strange. Racism is always I've never really understood it. I've always been around, so I met my first black guys when I went to England, and what was happening, so the first black guys I would have met, I was in an adult jail. So I'll be honest with you, I'd done something really bad to a guy. I gave him stitches in his face, and it was no excuse. I was 18 years old, right? He was a bad man, you know what I mean? Let's put it like that. He was a bad man, but there's no excuse, you know what I mean? That's extreme violence. So because of that, I was put in an adult prison when I was still a YO, and I was in Bedford prison, and it was 3 main cells, and I was in with two other adults, you know what I mean? I think I just turned 18, and there was 2 Rastas, 2 big black Rastas, and I never thought, because even though what I'd been through, most men, decent men in my life, criminals and terrorists and all the rest of it, I've never been dodgy. I've never feared for them. I've never thought, they've never come in, ever felt threatened. Understand I was abused, but it was never from decent, hard, strong men, It was, and that's all I'm going to say about that. So I never felt any fear or anything like that, I was quite confident, and I don't know how I came across, but they took to me, so they did. And I can remember they had weed, and they offered me some weed, and I didn't smoke weed, and I declined and that. But I can remember it was a really good experience, you know what I mean? It was the first, baptism, you know what I mean, of fire, but it's it was amazing. And then my next experience was in Aylesbury, and that is where I found that what they call racism does sort of exist. In my head then, that's what I was thinking, because I found the blacks in Aylesbury really, really racist towards whites. Really, really hated whites, you know. And that was hard. That was difficult, you know what I mean? Because it was just, but as London, these are different. This is 1988, right, guys? This is 1988. So it's a long time ago, you know what I mean? But these were like Londoners, black Londoners, and they just had a chip on their shoulder. I couldn't understand half of them, you know what I mean? They were British. I think most of them were British. But they talked like that Jamaican yardie sort of talk, blood clot and all that, and through their teeth and all that. And it was difficult, young Belfast man, trying to work all that out, you know. But looking back on it all now, you know, I can honestly say with confidence that racism is a myth, you know. And if you stick to the end of this video, if you don't want to take it from me, I'm going to bring somebody called Jesse, who he's going to tell you, and you can maybe take it from him, you know. Racism is definitely a word that has been made up to create division. It's a label. It's a label to. It's a weapon. It's a word that's been used as a weapon, and that's it, guys. You know, over and over again, we see it being used to silence people. Like, you know, when you're called a racist, you know, it's difficult. You know what I mean? You know, and it's difficult here. This is a difficult video because I'm trying to say there isn't racism, but then I do find racism sort of coming from black people towards white people, and I'm going to bring evidence of that. So I am. What's this first?
Ask this. Beyonce promoted Black Lives Matter. We all know that Black Lives Matter is an agitative, evil group of people who could care less about black people.
We do not.
She also, let me finish, and then I'll let you respond. She also promoted. Hold on. I'll let you respond. She also promoted the Black Panther Party, and we know that Black Panthers promoted killing cops, and they killed at least 2 police officers that I'm aware of. And in Chicago, black people were afraid of the Black Panthers during those days because they were so radical. She also promoted Malcolm X at a Super Bowl game.
Yes.
And you guys are okay with that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let me ask this then.
Promote my people.
Next year, I'm asking the KKK to go and perform a cross burning dressed in hoods, white sheets and hoods at the Super Bowl halftime. Are you okay with that too?
We live in America where you have freedom of speech. If that's the idiocracy you want to promote, then
so you would be okay with that, right?
Do that. I would personally be a part of the crowd that's protesting it.
So that's Jesse, and I'm going to put a link in the description so you can watch this video in full. It is really interesting. So these are 2 members of Black Lives Matter in America. I think they're quite high up amongst the universities and the organisation that runs in there. And this is one of the big problems that we have. It's like the word racism is being used now in a way where people are feeling victims. Nobody's got the strength to move on, and if you look at yourself as a victim, you're never going to move on. That's one thing that's very clear in society. But what I'm trying to say is, guys, is that there seems to be a lot of black people in the world right now who have been totally fooled, and for some reason they just will not accept that racism is a myth, you know. And basically there's 2 types of people, as Jesse's going to tell you at the end of this video. There's 2 types of people. There's good people and there's bad people, you know. I've touched on this before, guys. People get up in the morning and they hate everybody and everything, you know. They look at a black person and they say they hate them because they're black. They're not racist. It doesn't matter who's in front of them, they would hate them. You know, whether it be a woman, whether it be a child, whether it be a Chinese person, whether it be somebody from their work, whether it be a family member, you know. Are we going to label every single individual with a certain word just because that one person hates it, is a hater? You know, it is impossible to hate anybody for the colour of their skin, you know. It's like, even if you think you hate somebody because of the colour of their skin, are you seriously telling me that if a black person comes up to you, man or woman, and you connect on a level, because we're all human beings, and you get on so well, you agree with everything, he makes you laugh, she makes you laugh, whatever, you make each other laugh, are you going to tell me you're going to walk away from that amazing interaction and say, I still hate that person because they're black? That's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. But you see, we've got a situation where the government are now using the word racism, the label racism, as a weapon.
About the fear that they have, the anxiety that they have about the recent disorder. The disorder is intolerable. It is incapable of justification. It's clearly racist.
And it's only to shut people up, because if you convince people that if you disagree or you question anything to do with anybody with colour, you're a racist, that makes life pretty easy, doesn't it, for the government? Let's have a look a wee bit more at these two characters, and I won't take as much more of your time, but this is interesting. It is really interesting stuff.
Mom told me I was beautiful now and I was smart, but when I go into society, they don't see that beauty. They don't see that
Who don't
intellect.
see it?
Society. Just because I'm black.
Who are you referring to in society?
I'm referring to the structure.
Are you
the
talking
way
about
the whole
white
system
people, or
is set
black
up.
people, and white people and others? Who
I
are
don't
you
think
talking
we're
about? Are you
spe-
talking about white people?
I'm not talking
I'm
about
not
a person.
specifying any particular
I'm not talking about a person.
I'm-
But somebody has to be the system that you're referring
It's a
to.
thinking. See, we have to
Who are you
understand that
referring
it's
to?
not a people.
But who are you
It's a
re-
thinking.
And who is
that's
thinking?
I'm referring to the
predominantly in a
government.
group
Who
of
is thinking
people.
this way?
The people who wrote our laws.
Who is that? Are you talking about white people, black people, Mexican, or them all?
White people.
You talk about white
Mr.
people?
Peterson, if I
Hold
may.
on a minute. Hold on. I'll come to you. You talk about white people?
I gave you what you're looking for, huh?
No, are you talking about white people?
Yeah, I'm talking about anyone who wants or feeds into white supremacy in this structure.
So you're talking
anybody,
about
whether they
whites
be
and
white,
blacks
black,
and
Asian,
others.
Latino, whoever.
Oh,
If you
okay.
agree with this white capitalist, white supremacist structure, then okay,
Andre-
that's for you. But if you don't agree, because there's a variety of all the races who don't agree,
So it's
as
not-
do agree.
Oh, okay. So Andre, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Time and time again, we see situations where black people can talk like that, but if you imagine two white people sitting down and talking like that, they would probably be hauled in front of a court, to be honest with you. And we're finding that quite a lot now, you know, and it's frustrating because I'm telling you now that there is no racism in Britain. I'm just going to speak for Britain. There's no racism in Britain. There is hateful people in Britain who hate everybody and everything. And just because they say you're a racist, it doesn't mean you're a racist. We have time and time again of people like, what was that boxer called?
We must not use a demonstration for selfish motives and turn it into rioting and looting. We need to be united in non-violent demonstrations, show them where it hurts, abstain from spending your money in their shops and in economies, and invest in black-owned businesses. And that's for all communities. If you want to uplift yourself, invest in your own businesses.
I'll put his name up. But there was a boxer, and he told everybody to buy from black shops only. So the flip side of that is don't buy from white shops. Could you imagine me telling you not to buy from black shops? Again, I'd be held in front of a court and I would be done for something hateful, you know? And I could bring you example after example after example where black people have been conditioned to blame everything on white people or white supremacy that does not exist. You know, Black Lives Matter, you know, I'll probably get a lot of hate for this, but I'm just being honest, you know what I mean? They've made an awful lot of money on this fake word racism, you know. You know yourself, every single person watching this video right now, you know if he's a racist. Is it possible that you could hate somebody just because of the colour of their skin? You know, I think it's a very easy answer. It's impossible just to hate somebody just because they're a different colour. That's absolutely ridiculous, you know. And time again, we find big governments using the words against their people, you know, as soon as they question anything that's going on. And it's pretty sad, like, you know what I mean? It's, you know, there's me, a young boy, walking along the street at a supposedly National Front march, and there was a black guy, and nobody touched him. You know, surely if they really hated that man would have been gone, or at least beaten up, you know what I mean? You know, it's like, and that stuck with me, so it did. And because it always confused me, you know, growing up, not being around black people, and then going into England, doing a sentence in England, and meeting loads of black people. And like, you know, I had so many good friends, and I had like Pakistani friends, Pakistani Muslim friends, and like, you know, each person was an individual, you know. Like, for talk's sake, like, here's a good example. Meghan, Harry's missus, you know, I had no idea that she came under the word black, you know. This is what I'm saying to you, like, who decides all these things, you know what I mean? She's more white than she is black, you know, it doesn't make any sense. Why do we have to label? Why isn't she, can you understand what I'm saying? You know, what's the point of it, you know? And I understand a lot of people, all of a sudden, when Black Lives Matter movement and everybody was hoaxed into thinking, you know, we know what happened in America and all the truth that came out. I mean, I know as well that it was black people that sold black people to white people in the slave trade, you know what I mean? And we were all made to think that white people went over and took all these black people, but we now find out it was actually black people that were selling the black people. And then we find other things out about the plantations, and people weren't actually being forced. And Jesse's your man. If you want to understand black culture, what it's about, where it came from, and the truths about slavery and everything else, the truths about racism, the truths about Black Lives Matter, follow that man. Watch his videos. Spend a wee half an hour every day just going on, having a wee look at some of his stuff. There's a lot to take in, you know. I would look at the deep state stuff, the interviews he does. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Very intelligent man. And, you know, that's where you want to go. We all need to start standing up together, and, you know, because, like, I know so many black men, and they're no victims of anything, you know what I mean? You know, and I know a lot of black men who absolutely think Black Lives Matter is a disgusting organisation that has created more division and hatred, you know. And there's no two ways about it, you know what I mean? It was like, oh, we were doing so well, so we were, you know what I mean, as a nation, and all of a sudden, it's almost like somebody's went out of their way to create so much division and hatred in Britain, you know. But I'm going to let the man himself tell you what he thinks, a black man, about racism.
So let me ask, do you believe racism is this?
For individuals or systemically?
Period, yeah.
I would say that somebody can be racist, but probably not inside government right now.
And how can you be racist?
Well, if I were to say I didn't like Asian people, I would be racist towards Asians, no?
Why would that be racist?
Well, would that not be the definition?
But why would that be racist?
Because that's the definition of racism.
But, so you believe racism is this?
Not systemically, but I think individuals themselves can be racist.
How?
By hating another type of people.
But if they hate them, that would be hate. That wouldn't be racist.
Well, it's just describing a certain type of hate. If you hate a woman, then what is it, misogynism?
Is that what they say?
Yeah, no, I'm saying it's all the same hate, but they just use racism and misogyny to describe different types of it, you know what I mean?
But
just to distinguish what you're doing, what type of hate.
Racism doesn't exist.
You don't believe so?
I know so.
You don't think anybody can be racist?
No.
Why not?
You're either of good or evil. And so you're either evil by hating your fellow man, your fellow woman, or you're good by not hating them. You can agree and disagree, but you don't have to hate them.
Do you
And
think
if-
racism is evil if it existed?
It doesn't exist.
If it existed,
But it can't.
hypothetically here.
It's impossible.
Do you think hate is evil?
Yes.
Do you have any hate in your heart?
No, anyone that has anger has hatred.
Do you have any of that?
None, zero.
How did you get rid of it?
By realizing that I was wrong for being angry at my mother, for trying to turn me away from my father, that she couldn't help herself.
What did she do?
She didn't like my father. You know how mothers don't like fathers.
She didn't.
Sorry for cutting it off. But like I say, the link's in the description. You can watch the full video. And there's 2 videos there. So I'll put 2 links in to both videos so you can watch them in full. Very interesting man. And I just wish there was more men like this in the world. Be a lot peaceful. People would be a lot more understanding of what's actually going on. And people like the Labour Party wouldn't be able to throw words about like racism and Islamophobia and use them as weapons against their own people to shut them up and silence them, you know. And this is the whole point of the video, guys. Can you understand how important it is that the governments, these left-wing governments, keep pushing the rhetoric of racism? Can you understand that organisations like End Racism would be non-existent? And believe you me, these people know there's no such thing as racism. They know there's just good and evil, there's just hateful people in the world. And they don't just get up in the morning and just simply hate black people. They hate everybody. You know, if they're Catholics, they'll hate Protestants. If they're Protestants, they'll hate Catholics. They'll hate everything that is different or not the same as them. It's as simple as that. And it's not about the colour of their skin. You know what I mean? It's just the human being in that person, you know. And the problem that we have is that so many people jump on the bandwagon, famous people, and because everybody is convinced that racism is a big thing, and so many white people hate black people because they're black and they're white. There's a lot of people out there, mostly black people, like Black Lives Matter, that are taking full advantage of it. And while they're doing that, they're quite literally bad-mouthing other people and getting away with the exact same thing that they're accusing other people of. You know, you can't make it up, you know. We see it over and over again. We see the DEI, the diversity hires. We see how the government and advertisement push that there's always got to be black people in things, and you know, every advert, every program, there's got to be a representation of every single person. Doesn't matter what the demographic of the country is. It doesn't matter if the percentage is like this. The percentage never gets represented. You know what I mean? And we're making a victim society, not a victimless society. Everybody's using things and making themselves out to be victims when. And as far as I'm concerned, they're just wanting sympathy, or they're wanting money, or they're wanting things that they don't deserve. They're wanting jobs that they don't deserve. And we're seeing it over and over again. People are getting put into high-end jobs because of the colour of their skin, because other people are scared to be called racist. There's things going on. There's people that do not deserve the positions. And not only that, there's people that do deserve the positions not getting it because of the colour of their skin. So basically, if you're up going for a job these days, most likely you won't get it if you're white, because they're going to give it to the black person because they're scared of being called racist. Can you see the damage this word racism has, and why it's important that we get the rhetoric out that it is ridiculous? You know, we are all human beings, and some people just are horrible human beings, and that's just the way it is, you know what I mean? And like I say, at that march, yes, a lot of them people were there at a racist march, but I believe you me, none of them are racist. If they were really racist and proper, like hated black people, that guy would have been done. Trust me, that black guy would have been done. You know, these guys were just out because they were celebrating the Union Jack and being Protestant, and that's the way the country was being brought up, and people were being pushed towards on both sides. You were either a Republican if you're a Catholic, or you're a loyalist if you're a Protestant. You know, and you know, and then you obviously has explained you had these real far right ones coming in and trying to take advantage of that situation, you know, and that's all that was, you know what I mean? And there's a lot more I could say, you know what I mean? But I do have to be careful at the same time, you know what I mean? People just don't understand it. Right, chill up. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Sorry about that, guys. Like 2 friendly dogs, it was okay. But chill up just runs up to them all. But yeah, it's always been frustrating when I see so many celebrities going on about racism and how difficult they found it in life because of the colour of their skin, you know. In most cases, these people are just not nice people, you know what I mean? And, you know, honestly, a lot of people would probably disagree with me, but I just think if anybody is going to make a decision on anything because of somebody's colour of their skin, they're just horrible people, you know? And that's, it all boils down to that, guys, you know? Diversity is being used against the communities of this country. No 2 ways about it. It's creating hatred, it's creating division, you know. And if we are going to say there's racism, then I think we can prove that there's a lot of white people black people are being racist. Oh no, I hate saying this, guys. So it's not the norm. It does happen now and again. I'm going to show you it now, but it isn't the norm around here. So it's not like some places, there hasn't been a job done, there hasn't been a murder or an armed robbery. This is just kids that have been jumping about and probably took a chase from the police, or even not, just had enough of the car. The car's not running right, and they just thought, we'll just burn it, just for the sake of burning it, you know. Yeah. I used to take cars like that away, so I did for scrap. Don't do it anymore. But yeah, I hope you understand it. I'm not great, guys. I'm really not great at explaining things, and I'm not a professional. I just like to bring these wee videos of trying to explain what's in my head and what I see, because it is frustrating, really frustrating the way the world's going. You know, we were all part of slavery at one time, every one of us, you know. And you know, like quite a lot of my friends, they're sick of hearing it. A lot of my black friends, they're sick of hearing it. You know what I mean? They really are, and they're like me. They totally agree with me. You know, it's a great division, and you know, you see with these, when you start watching these videos that I've showed you, you'll start to understand how extreme it is starting to get, and yeah, it's pretty sad. It is pretty sad. There's 2 people in the world, guys. I'm going to leave it at this. There's 2 people in the world. There's people who love and care and are kind to every single person, you know. And there's people that just hate. They've just got so much hate. Whether it's whatever's happened in their lives, whether it's been through abuse or something like that, God only knows. But there is evil in this world. And I can't explain that. Some people are truly evil. And I think it's not fair on the rest of us to use the word racism just because of these people, you know. And yeah, it's starting to cause problems now in our communities, and people are being silenced. And anybody that questions, like the Black Lives Movement or the LGBTQ movement, you know what I mean, or the Muslim Brotherhood movements or the Muslim Defence Leagues, you're a racist, you know. And it's quite convenient that they've got that wee word there, you know. So anybody from now on calls you a racist or says racist, you tell them there's no such thing as racism, okay? And you're not going to be labelled by that word just because it suits your agenda. Simple as that. I'm Freedom Dad. If you like my stuff, give it a wee love heart. If you agree with what I'm saying, if you understand, if I'm making any sense, drop us a wee comment, let me know that I'm making a bit of sense. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe if you want to see other videos that are similar. They're not always the same. Believe you me, I'm all over the place most of the time. But yeah, I try to cover everything that's going on in my life. What I look at, what I'm watching, what I'm seeing, stuff like that, you know. And bring it to my followers in a way that they can understand it. And like I say, I don't have the best way of bringing things to people. I'm not articulate with my words. And yeah, I struggle a wee bit, you know what I mean? I do feel like I'm out of my depth, fish out of water, all the rest of it, you know what I mean? But you keep on saying that I'm doing all right, and that's good enough for me. So, all my love, have a great Saturday. If you're going to have a wee bet in football, good luck. And, because I'm having none. And God bless every single one of you.